away.
And when something
yeah, I know, yes,
because you got bullied online. It's so funny. It's so funny that you just said that you don't think about how other people act to define your behavior. Your entire political ideology now is somehow defined by the people that were mean to you on Twitter. If somebody cares about somebody who's grieving,
I understood
you tell that
what
person,
the flaws
you
on
tell
the
that
left
person,
happen to
hey,
be. The
maybe you should
weakness in their
step back
arguments.
for a couple of
No,
weeks.
no, it's
Maybe
not about the way I get treated.
You don't
I get treated like crap from both sides of the political aisle.
You do mass recruitment for our political party while everyone over here is calling for civil war. It's unhinged. When you've got people like Matt Walsh in the Daily Wire, the
we're talking to a guy who said he'd be okay with his own parents getting killed if they went to that Trump rally where that assassination attempt
and we're talking to a woman who went on and did the whole conservative media outlet with Tucker Carlson and Glenn Beck and had nothing bad to say whatsoever. I know where your bread is buttered. I know where you're making your money from.
And it was great. I had awesome conversations. I don't regret it at all. I also had a conversation with Jack Posobiec on her take. It was awesome.
Yeah, I know.
That's what democracy is about. Having an exchange of ideas.
Yeah.
All right, let me bring in.
I don't agree with him on everything, but at least we can have dialogue.
Anyway, we've lost Cornel West for now. Maybe we'll get him back. Well, Andrew Wilson referred to Destiny's insane tweets a little earlier, which were disavowed by Ana Kasparian. Well, Destiny joins us now. Destiny, you've...
Such a jump scare. They were just talking mad shit on Destiny, and then Destiny's right here. Guess who's right around the corner? Destiny. Yeah, this is an insane discussion. Obviously, I don't sign off on all of Destiny's edgelord insanity, but it is a little bit refreshing out of this panel of fucking pearl clutchers to see one person that just doesn't give a fuck. I will say that. I will agree with you there.
Been quite active on social media since Charlie Kirk's death. When Erica Kirk posted Charlie's coffin, you responded, she tagged him, brackets, crying face emojis. In response to Alina Haber's tweet ordering people to fly their flags a half-mast in memory of Charlie, you posted on X buying flags and poles just to fly them fully erect.
Not even a good
And
joke.
You then posted yesterday, ending every conservative debate call out I do in 2026 with "Don't dodge, bro." That's not what Charlie would have wanted. I mean, do you think that your response to the cold-blooded murder of Charlie Kirk has been appropriate?
Yes. I think that the only way this country moves forward into a better world is when conservatives can finally realize that they need to turn the temperature down on their side. We are 10 years into whatever this Trump madness is, and there is not a single mainstream conservative that will call for a lowering of the temperature on their side. I think that liberals need to wake up and finally realize that if they're not willing to do it, it will never come down. If you wanted Charlie Kirk to be alive, Donald Trump should have been president for the second term. Every time he's in office, this happens. People joked about when Biden came in, it was so boring, nothing was going on. 7 out of 10 of the largest protests in American history have happened under Donald Trump. All of the recent political violence that's happened in this country over the past 20 years, the majority of it, the overwhelming majority of it, everybody gets mad because they kekeep asking Grok about it, has been conservative.
Who shot Charlie Kirk?
A guy from Utah who was raised in a Christian family, who was a 22-year-old
described.
He wasn't trans. He didn't have a
Destiny.
trans girlfriend. He didn't have any trans influences. Right. He didn't have any trans bullets. Yeah, I'm sorry. You guys were wrong on all of that.
To be clear, the governor of Utah, Spencer Cox, has made it clear that their investigation has now established that he had been radicalized by a leftist ideology, which drove him to do this.
Which is not true.
I'm sorry. Excuse me. When?
Even if it does come out that it is true that he had a trans partner, which Destiny does get wrong because he denies, although I appreciated the spirit of him just deny, because they are saying a bunch of horseshit. What is not true is that this guy was, radicalized online into a leftist ideology. They've had no evidence to support that, even though the governor of Utah came out and made a big stink about it.
Yep, 100%. And again, all criticisms of Destiny on the table, all that aside, I do really appreciate that energy of just coming out here and being like, no, I'm not going to fucking sit here and like disavow the left and act like, oh, I'm so sorry for making an edgy joke, as if that somehow is the actual issue here. No, he actually does get to the point of being like, yeah, you're going to act like the Republicans, you're going to act like MAGA isn't responsible for this insanely violent political climate that we're all being subjected to year after year, this never-ending fucking era of insanity. You're going to act like that's not the problem. You're going to act like that's not what created these conditions. Instead, you're going to blame edgy people online, some of which aren't even on the fucking left. Like, that's insane. And I do appreciate Destiny just straight up refusing to submit to the demand that he pearl clutch in the way that they demand.
100%.
Yesterday, he said that.
No. When was he radicalized? In the 6 months that he did remote college?
I don't know when he was radicalized, but I do know. I do know the very reasonable sounding governor of Utah has made it clear that the event. You may not want to hear this.
Ongoing investigation.
You may not want to hear it, Destiny. But the reality is, the investigators, according to the governor of Utah, have established that he was radicalized to a leftist ideology that drove him to murder Charlie Kirk. Now, let me just ask you.
Not true.
Let me just ask
you.
No
way to deal with it.
Okay, you're accusing the governor of lying. Yeah. That's your prerogative. But
the governor 100%
If he turns out to have been somebody with a leftist ideology who wanted to shut up Charlie Kirk, would you condemn that?
I won't condemn anything until the president of the United States can go on air and say, all of us need to calm down.
So you won't condemn the murder of Charlie Kirk until Donald Trump says something.
I'm a YouTuber. Leftists and Democrats have been condemning and turning down the temperature, condemning violence, turning down the temperature for a decade. Donald Trump can't go on TV and say, all of us need to calm down.
Right.
Can you tell me why he cannot?
Why would you expect anybody, Destiny?
You can't answer that. Can you answer that question? Why can't
Can
Trump
you
go
answer
on TV
this
and say,
question?
all of us should be less violent.
Why do you think?
Trump say that?
Why do you
Why
think?
is your behavior contingent on Donald Trump?
Insane right now.
Why do you
is
think?
your
Let me
behavior
ask you a
contingent
question.
on Donald Trump?
Let me ask you a question.
Because he's the president of the United States of America and the leader of the
Destiny. Let me
You
just.
have a huge audience of young men who listen to everything you have to say. So when it doesn't matter. You have a huge audience, and because of the fact that you have a huge audience, you have a responsibility to not turn. No, it hasn't. It hasn't been broken. Actually care about the country and want to bring people together. You do the opposite. You represent the worst of us, Destiny.
Yeah, your brain has been destroyed because people bullied you on Twitter. Like, I'm sorry, guys. Like, I got Griffin. We were like, oh, I'm gonna react to this today, and he was like, oh, pedo destroys Karen. Like, it really does feel like that's how this plays out. I'm not trying to praise Destiny, but what's humiliating for all of these people is that terminally online fucking insane child sex predator is schooling all of them when every single person on this panel should know better than to buy the bullshit from the Utah governor who clearly had an agenda.
Yep. And just like we give Anna credit when she slays in a debate setting, I'm more than willing to give Steven credit. He is absolutely cooking everyone here. He's refusing to pearl clutch in the way they want him to. And by the way, I am familiar with Destiny's commentary on the subject. And guess what? He has thoroughly condemned the shooting. He's not justified it. He condemned it like multiple times, even put out a whole tweet being like, just to clear things up, I know I've made a lot of jokes about this, but yes, it is 100% unacceptable. It's crazy. It shouldn't happen again. But he's refusing to submit to the demands of these insane people that want to blame liberals and leftists and Democrats for a political climate that was 100% manufactured by Republicans to divide us all. And yeah, I appreciate the fact that he doesn't give a fuck about these idiots and their demands for civility. And do you condemn Hamas? Do you condemn this shooting? And like all this crap. It's so annoying.
You're embarrassing.
You should tell Donald.
All right, let me ask Destiny a question.
Watch how easy this is.
Hang on. Don't all shout at once, please.
If Donald Trump would have come out and said, hey, we should all be less violent, I have no problem saying
I have one question for you,
Why
Destiny.
can't conservatives do that? Why can't conservatives do that?
Destiny, I have a question for you. Why do you think in your campaign for everyone to dial down the temperature, why do you think that mocking the grieving widow of Charlie Kirk when she posts an image of her at the coffin side, why do you think that constitutes turning down the temperature?
You can't turn down the temperature on your own. The president of the United States is
inflame
not
the temperature.
able.
You're mocking his widow. You're mocking his widow.
We've had multiple political assassinations over the past year. What do you mean? It's turning up the temperature.
Why did you mock his widow?
Online
Why did you mock his widow?
Because she's being used as a political weapon right now for conservatives to continue. What do you mean? Wow, she's literally doing.
Her husband just got murdered
on email. Yeah, and she's using it to drive up recruitment.
And you can't even condemn the murder. You won't condemn it.
Can't even tell his side.
You're so deranged about Trump that you cannot condemn the murder because you're waiting for Donald Trump to say something. All right, let me bring in Jack. Let me bring in Jack.
And Piers really does have the easiest job in the world. All he has to do is look at like whatever the most recent like horrible atrocity is, and then just ask everyone on his show to condemn it. Do you condemn this? Do you condemn that? But do you condemn that? Do you condemn it? Do you condemn it? Like that's all his fucking show is. For the longest time, it was Hamas, and now it's this. It's all he fucking does.
Yeah, I mean, and it's crazy how popular it is, right? It's important to note this is the fastest growing, most popular show on YouTube, or at least it was the last time they released those numbers. And the reason is because people just want to watch this unhinged, unproductive debates, right? And you guys could be like, well, you guys react to it all the time. And it's like, yeah, because somebody has to come out here and call balls and strikes and be like, what Piers is doing is exactly what Cornel West identified, and now Destiny is also identifying. Like, all he has to do is create hysteria, Jerry Springer style, and people will come and flock to it, right? But he doesn't do any actual authentic engagement. He's not interested in real discourse. He doesn't force his panelists to respect the other when somebody else is talking. He loves it when they interrupt him. That's why he invites Destiny back constantly. That's why he invites Jank back constantly. That's why he let Dave Rubin and Jank go at it and let Dave Rubin play audio from his cell phone that was completely unverified and not run by the producers at all. And he kept playing it over and over again because all he wants to do is create chaos, right? So it's not a real home for fair debate. That's why people who are borderline sociopathic like Destiny often succeed in this format, because he's able to just fucking say, I don't care if it's me versus 100. I'm going to continue to say the same thing. I'm going to resort to pulling all the information that I do have that's in my arsenal, and I'm going to shoot those arrows at these people until my quiver's empty, and then I'm going to be like, fuck you, I don't care what you have to say. That's what he does every single time. He's going to argue, and then he's going to gaslight you, and then afterwards, when he's finally exhausted, he'll be like, fuck you, I don't care, you'll never change my mind. That's how Destiny fucking argues, okay? And that's why he comes on here and he's successful, right? So we're not coming out here to be like, wow, this Pato's actually kind of based. Like, of course not, but it is to highlight how in this kind of environment, a literal sociopath is the most effective version of the arguer that you're going to get.
And I mean, I would love to see a non-crazy person, non-sociopath left-wing commentator that's able to exert this kind of energy in a debate like this, because it is true that so many lefties are like, they're too polite, and someone like Destiny does come in here like a bull in a fucking china shop, no fucks given. He treats this stupid guy in the middle like he deserves to be treated. I think his name is like Big Papa Fascist or whatever. Like this guy, you know, he's used to owning the conversation and being the bully, and Destiny's kind of like, you know, giving him a taste of his own medicine. And this guy's barely even gotten a chance to speak ever since Destiny showed up, which is, again, exactly the sort of treatment that we, should bring to the table as the left, if you're going to go on Piers Morgan, right? So again, not to give too much credit to Destiny, but I'd love to see someone with that instinct who's not Destiny.
100%.
Jokes of the world.
I gotta say,
there's still no answer to that question, Piers. You can't say,
which question?
Why can't Donald Trump simply go on TV and say we all need to turn it down?
Fine.
Like Biden could, like Obama could,
Fine.
like the Clintons could, like Kamala could. Why not?
Why can't you condemn the murder of Charlie Kirk?
It's unbelievable. I'm not the president.
Why can't you condemn the murder of Charlie Kirk?
Unbelievable to me.
Why can't you condemn the murder of Charlie Kirk?
Because it wasn't my side that caused it. It should be the one that is driving up
It actually was your side that caused it. It was your side.
This guy was raised in a white Christian household.
He was a radicalized leftist ideology.
He wasn't radicalized by leftism at all. You have no proof of that whatsoever.
That's what the investigators are saying.
Was a conservative, just like the people
the cop said so.
Piero's house was a conservative, just like all the J6ers were conservatives, just like the Proud Boys were conservatives. Every single one of these people. Oh, it's Jack Posobiec, what, the author of Unhuman, another person that Charlie's putting. Good one, dude.
Well, I'll give you one last chance, personally, to condemn the murder of Charlie Kirk.
Why can't I hear Donald
Trump? I'm sorry. It brings me no pleasure, but I agree with Gavin completely. We need somebody with real values, a heart and soul, who can kind of go in there with, a head full of Asperger's and just go in there and wipe the floor with these people.
Yeah, especially after Jack Posobiec sat there doing his, like, I'm so sad shtick, like, I'm tearing up. I'm so sad my poor friend Charlie's dead and all this shit. And Destiny just doesn't give a fuck. It's glorious.
Condemn violence in this
all
country.
right, you won't condemn it. Okay, we've all heard.
That's insane.
We've all heard you repeatedly refuse to condemn it.
We've heard Donald Trump refuse to condemn it
Jack
too. But for some
Posobiec.
reason, the leftists on YouTube are a bigger deal. Unbelievable.
Yeah, what's incredible is you don't have the basic humanity to condemn it. You'd rather taunt his widow. I find that sickening. Jack Posobiec.
I find it sickening that when people are getting killed in the country, the president of the United States on Fox and Friends, when they're begging him, what do you say to your followers that want revenge? He says, I don't know, all the elections are rigged. It's the radical Democrats. That's insane to me. And then the fixation is, well, who on Twitter and YouTube isn't condemning the violence?
All right, Jack Posobiec.
You have a great example here of the type of cancer I'm talking about, where when you present direct information, they refuse, they obfuscate, they refute, they say it's not true, they lie. You could see from the bullet casings, you could see from postings, you could see from everything out there that it's very clear what happened here. This is the same people who supported President Trump almost getting assassinated twice last year, Cory Carpentore being assassinated
by
last year
conservatives
in a situation. Again, see, just lies as all they do. They talk over. They don't even let you give a chance to speak. And something needs to be done, Piers. Something absolutely needs to be done. This ideology should be shamed, humiliated, driven from the public discourse. I mean, you've got people who have completely dissociated with humanity because all they care about are clicks and YouTube streams and likes. Go to the casket. Go to the gravesite. Go talk to the widow. You know, I don't even know how to discuss this with someone who's completely lost all touch with reality.
Yeah, I mean, Anna.
What's Jack's answer to why can't the president say we should all be less violent?
Right. Because you can't even condemn the cold-blooded execution of Charlie
Donald Trump
Kirk.
turns on Destiny.
I don't think you're in the position to demand
"I wonder what
anything from
Destiny's saying
anybody
on YouTube." That's how I'm going to take my.
You're
my
not in any
pointers, but
position
really?
to condemn anybody for anything. You won't condemn a cold-blooded
He's the president
murder.
of the United States. He's the president of the United States. No one here can answer that question.
Basic humanity says the
Donald
murder
Trump,
was
the
horrific.
Can't say
Why can't
all
you
of us
say
need
it?
to be less violent.
Why can't you
Democrats
say
have been
it,
saying
Destiny?
for over a decade.
To say the murder was horrific and
Why
unacceptable.
can't Donald Trump say it?
You can't do
why
it,
does no
can
one
you?
hear any words for Donald Trump?
All right, Ana
For
Kasparian.
Donald Trump. Nothing exactly.
Ana Kasparian. This, to me, this is what I'm talking about. That I think there is an element of the left, the hard woke left, that have completely lost their mind.
Destiny's the hard woke left, this cheerleader for genocide.
Yeah, Piers uses the word woke so it's funny because he apparently wrote a whole book about how wokeness is dead, but now he keeps talking about how the woke left is the problem, and also the woke left includes Destiny. Destiny ain't fucking woke. What the fuck? He's literally making jokes about the fresh widow of Charlie Kirk. That's not very woke. That's not very politically correct. Like, part of wokeness is being a politically correct person who's afraid to offend anyone, right? Destiny is the exact opposite of that, to a fucking fault. You know what I'm saying? This dude will go way over the line. And he's obviously, trafficked in all sorts of insane fucking, discourse with people like Nick Fuentes. To call him part of the woke left, that's crazy. Yeah. And again, like, you could be a liberal who's woke, you could be a radical left-winger who's woke. Like, it's not just like there's a woke left and a non-woke left. Like, you know what I'm saying?
They're very stuck in 2016 college campus debate energy, right? It's very like SJW Tumblr coded. They're just, so out of touch that they're like a decade behind. They don't understand how the actual political landscape for young people unfolds.
Yeah. Exactly.
You are not able to just outright simply condemn the murder of Charlie Kirk. And if you cannot stop yourself from mocking his grieving widow, you are sick, as I've just seen from Destiny.
The sick thing is
mindset.
weaponizing a widow's grief to try to do recruitment for your political party. That's probably one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen. She's showing up in emails for recruitment drives for TP USA.
Destiny? What did you think the assassination of a political figure would do? What did you think the outcome was going to be? What did you think the outcome was? And by the way,
are you asking
really,
me for the pragmatic
your
outcome,
behavior.
or are you asking
Hold
me
on.
for?
Hey,
you're
how about take it easy on the Adderall? Take it easy on the Adderall, and let me answer the question that Piers asked me.
You must have been really bullied today.
My
Anna speak, please.
My behavior is not reliant on how anyone else behaves. Every morning I wake up and I make decisions about how I choose to react or respond to things. I don't wake up in the morning, check what Donald Trump has to say, and then base my own personal behavior on his behavior. I agree with you in that it would be very helpful to have the leader of this country want to turn the temperature down. And he hasn't done that. I agree with you on that. But that doesn't change the way I choose to respond to what's going on. The idea of mocking a woman who is now a widow with 2 young children who witnessed her husband get shot in the neck and bleed out to death. How can you mock that? What is wrong with you? I just don't understand it. That's it. I don't understand it. I don't understand you, Destiny. You have so much hatred in your heart, and at the same time, you judge others.
If you're going to weaponize somebody's grief against the other party, well, then of course people have a right to fight back against it. I think that she has every right to grieve in whatever way she wants, but when that grief is going to be weaponized to do recruitment, political recruitment, and further radicalization of the other side, then of course you not only have the ability to mock it, I think you have the obligation to mock it. It's insane.
Let me understand your argument. So since others are using her grief to politically recruit, you think that it's okay to mock her specifically?
Since others are using her grief, she's the one who gave a 17-minute speech on TV where she talked about good versus evil. She's the one showing up in
Destiny,
TP USA ads to 1 or 2 days after.
If someone assassinated my husband, I would not be able to have the level of composure she had during that speech, I would be out for blood. I understand why she's angry and why she said the thing.
Can we talk about this, right? What Anna is basically doing here, and what she always does, is she puts herself in the center of every single political discourse episode, right? And she's like, how would I feel in this instance? Like, how would this impact me? Like, oh, if somebody killed my husband. Well, your husband wasn't Charlie Kirk. Your husband wasn't the, executive director or whatever the fuck he was of Turning Point USA, aka the Nazi Youth, right? This white supremacist asshole who went and spent every single day actively making the world worse. And then instead of fucking, retreating into the fucking darkness out of the public limelight to mourn with your family, you decide to take this tragedy and politicize it, something the right wing is always really, really fucking critical of whenever there's a shooting. Why are you politicizing this tragedy? Oh my gosh, I can't believe you're politicizing this tragedy to advance your agenda. Now it's fucking laid bare for them, the hypocrisy of that, along with every other thing they supposedly stand for until it's remotely inconvenient for them, right? So it's crazy for her to sit here and pretend that somehow there's no responsibility laid at the feet of Charlie Kirk's wife. And I agree that Destiny is caustic. I agree that this is like a very, very unsavory way to approach this. But at the end of the day, she is a political enemy of the left. She is using her husband's tragic killing to advance a white supremacist neo-Nazi agenda in this country, and it does have to be called out for being the horseshit that it is.
And to launch a war on the entire left, including all of us who had nothing to do with this, and an assault on free speech, which Charlie himself claimed to not even agree with. Charlie was apparently a free speech guy. I keep hearing about that. So yeah, fuck his wife for weaponizing his fucking death in order to undermine the First Amendment and to declare war on an entire fucking half of the country politically. It's disgusting. It's completely unacceptable.
That she said, okay, you need to understand what being a human is, what it's like to actually lose someone that you love, that you chose to spend your life with, that you chose to raise children with, a person who was violently and viciously assassinated like that.
Now
this is why I've moved away.
Other two assholes to try and get their approval. She wants to have them pat her on the head and give her a cookie after it's over and say, I was wrong about you, Anna. You're actually one of the good ones.
Yeah, she's performing for the right-wing audience. That's what this performance is for. It's playing on their emotions and using as many words as possible to underscore how vicious and brutal and, whatever the fuck this was. How dare you? How could you, sir? I'm going to clutch my pearls harder than anyone on this panel about the fact that you refuse to condemn the vicious and disgusting assassination of terror. Like that's all it is. It's not substantive. It's not an interesting argument. It's just like, screeching at this guy and beating him over the head for not properly pearl clutching.
And when something I know, yes, because you got bullied online. It's so funny. It's so funny that you just said that you don't think about how other people act to define your behavior. Your entire political ideology now is somehow defined by the people that were mean to you on Twitter.
No,
if somebody cares about somebody who's grieving,
I understood
then you tell that
what
person,
the flaws on the left happen to be. The weakness in their arguments. No, it's not about the way I get treated. I get treated like crap from both sides of the political aisle.
You do mass recruitment for our political party while everyone over here is calling for civil war. It's unhinged. When you've got people like Matt Walsh of the Daily Wire,
we're talking to a guy who said he'd be okay with his own parents getting killed if they went to that Trump rally where that assassination attempt
and we're talking
happened.
to a woman who went on and did the whole conservative media outlet with Tucker Carlson and Glenn Beck and had nothing bad to say whatsoever. I know where your bread is buttered. I know where you're making your money from.
And it was great. I had awesome conversations. I don't regret it at all. I also had a conversation with Jack Posobiec on her take. It was awesome.
Yeah, I know.
That's what democracy is about. Having an exchange of ideas.
Yeah.
All right, let me bring in.
I don't agree with him on everything, but at least we can have dialogue.
Oh God, she's so deep in the cope too. Like she's really convinced herself that her going on all those shows to pander to the, audience of all the fucking Glenn Beck. She's really convinced herself that that's what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like.
Show me what democracy looks like.
Well, what it looks like is Ana Kasparian sitting next to Glenn Beck for the world's most boring conversation. That's what it looks like, Zach. And she's really seemingly convinced herself of that. Jesus Christ. That's most of the good stuff. We can watch a little bit more if you want. There's one more moment at the very end that we got to.
Yeah, we got to. Let's just go ahead and skip to that.
Okay, cool. Because you guys can definitely watch the rest on your own, but I think you kind of got the point. They go back and forth for another like 10-20 minutes. Like, do you fucking condemn this? Do you fucking condemn this? Obviously, that that's not going to happen. But let's take a look here towards the very end, because this was pretty funny.
Another one was, I think, LOL. This guy is going to be the president of the Oxford Union Debating Society, and yet he is celebrating the murder.
God, they're still pearl clutching about this shit. He's celebrating a murder. A murder.
Could potentially lead to. Because where does this end? And that's like one of my biggest issues with a portion of the left. Their inability to see past the current moment, right? You're celebrating it, but what's the long-term goal here? Is the long-term goal to just have to descend to an environment of endless political assassinations and violence? And if we're going to have the left go up against the right in terms of violence, in terms of bloodshed, in terms of shootings, I don't know. I would just venture to say that the right is probably going to do a better job in, taking people out than the left is. This is just a really disgusting, sick ideology, and we need to move away from it. And again, I want to emphasize your personal behavior, the way you choose to behave and respond to things on a day-to-day basis has an impact. Okay, be the change you want to see in the world. So when you have a huge audience, and that audience of young people who look up to you, who feel inspired by you, hear you essentially minimize political violence or even make excuses for it or deflect by blaming Trump for everything. Well, you're essentially indoctrinating people to support and normalize political violence. We can't be doing that. I don't care how people behave on the right. That's not going to have an impact on how I personally choose to behave. I want to be better than that. I want to preach dialogue, okay? Debate, have these conversations. And, Charlie Kirk, the last debate he and I had,
But she's trying so hard to be like this profound, like, voice of fucking morality. Yeah. But it's hilarious because she can't come up with a single thought that isn't just the most cliche dog shit that you've ever fucking heard. The most meaningless fucking garbage right out of some like AI generated book of fucking inspirational quotes. You know what I'm saying? Like the kind of shit that you would see like falsely attributed to like Abraham Lincoln on a blurry Facebook meme. You know what I'm saying? That's the level of fucking intellect we're talking about.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yeah, literally.
Destiny would like you to believe that I agree with the right on everything. I don't agree with the right on everything. We debated about whether or not you have to have children in order to care about the future of this country. So we have a debate and it's fine. He has a right to his opinions. I have the right to mine. If you care about democracy, the democratic process is reliant on having these types of conversations and reliant on not resorting to violence because you're unable to articulate your arguments effectively against the other side. That's what I see this assassination as. Again, it was cowardice. It was disgusting. It was cold-blooded murder, and no one should be celebrating it, and no one should be mocking the family members of Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, very well said. I just want to thank all the panel for joining me. Jack, I want to say to you, I can tell by your demeanor today how profoundly impacted you've been by your friend's murder. God. And I'm just very sorry to you as his friend that you've had to endure what must have been a hellish week. And
actual ghouls.
I'd like to send my very best to the family who I know you talked to. And I'm sorry for some of the things you've had to hear from Destiny in this debate. But thank you for coming on despite what you've been going through. So I appreciate it.
Thank you, Piers. I'll convey that to them.
Thank you very much. Thank you to the panel. Thank you.
Yeah. So, oh God, Destiny understood the assignment. He was like, "You're bringing me in here to play the villain, the boogeyman lefty. All right, I guess I'm gonna fucking do that shit." Yeah, crazy debate.
Yeah.
Look out the door if you hear an ambulance. The Vanguard will be there, sir. The Vanguard will be there, sir. The Vanguard will be there, sir. The Vanguard will be there. The Vanguard will be there.